Hello, everyone. I'm Tandy Alasala, and I have my co-host Teresa Salhi, and
Hello.
we want to welcome you to day 3 of the Goddess Retreat Virtual Sanctuary. And today, our very special guest is Miss Maru Ayabichela. She is the creator and queen of Infinite Receiving. She is a business and prosperity coach, an author, and a speaker, helping people all over the world step into their prosperity inside and out by maximizing their purpose and potential. And I have known Maru for probably 4 months now or so, and she is amazing. You are in for a treat. Welcome, introduce my co-host, Teresa Salhi. Take it away, Teresa.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Tandy. And thank you so much, Maru, for being with us today in our Goddess Retreat. This is day 3, just as Tandy said. And this is a really, really important topic. And our listeners here, we all go through times in our life where maybe money's just not happening. And what is that all about? And do we just need to get another job? What is it we need to do? Well, from my perspective and my learning, and I believe this is what Maru is going to share with us, which is extremely important, it's an inside job first. So I'm just really excited to have this Goddess Prosperity topic, and I would just love to turn it over to you, Maru, and let you, like Tandy said, share your magic with us.
Oh, awesome. I'm super, super thrilled to be with you guys and with all the listeners. I wish you experience magic, miracles, and tons of openings as you listen to this interview and you go, apply, implement, integrate some of the things I'm going to share with you guys today, because it can literally change your life from struggle to abundance. And one thing that's happening to me right now is that I'm learning to thrive. And even though I no longer live in feast and famine in terms of money, because of the story I'm going to share with you guys, and how my life has completely transformed in 8 to 9 months, from having no money for daycare, from becoming a single mom, to now having the opportunity to travel all over the world and share this message. I mean, it feels nothing but, a massive quantum shift, right? But even though I am in that place where I technically and theoretically should be thriving, my mindset is still one of feast and famine. It's still one of, like, even though, like, let's say I have money, I'm still like, I got to work really hard. I got to be there. I got to be on my A game. I got to do everything at once. I've got the wind on my tail. I got to work my tail off. And so I'm learning to pull back. I'm learning to slow down. I'm learning to thrive. So it's really interesting, because I would always talk about survival to thriving, when I wasn't really thriving. And now that I really am thriving, it's like I have to explain to my senses, allow myself to soak in the fact that we don't have to do everything at once. That I don't have to be on my phone all the time, that I don't have to be on my team, that I can, take a little step back. And so it's just been an interesting perspective, right? That now that I'm here on the other side of, basically I am where I dreamed I wanted to be for so long, and I feel like I'm here. Wow, it's so different than I imagined it. It really is. It's better for sure, but it's also the mind patterns, the thought patterns, the habits of things. It's like we're catching up to the place I am today. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm,
absolutely.
So it's really interesting. It's really like nobody ever talked to me this way or told me about that. So it's been very fun, and it's been frustrating at the same time, because I'm like, well, I'm killing myself, and do I really need to be? So no. So it's just like everything, it's a process, and as Tandy called me, she said I was Queen Infinite Receiver, and basically, what the hell is Infinite Receiving? And for those of you that have no idea what the heck we're talking about here, that's what's created this massive quantum shift in my life, and it's allowed me to help many others do the same, including our very own Tandy here, who's experienced. I'll let her talk about that here in a minute, because it's just been nothing short of miraculous. And it all started with me becoming an entrepreneur back in 2013. And, I was pregnant. I was in not very ideal circumstances to become independent and start a business, but I was 30 years old. I decided that by 30, I was going to start my own business. So I went for it, and all kinds of things happened to really hold me back and sabotage my dream, but I went for it. And ever since then I had my son. And so I was starting my business with a newborn and a partner at the time that had just gone through a major health crisis that was nearly life and death. So very unstable surface to build a business. So for the past 3 years, I've been experiencing certain levels of success and back to zero. Success and then back to zero. I will never forget the first time I had my first 5-figure month, like my first $10,000 month. The next month it was like $1,000 month. And I was like, what is this? And so I nearly had to file bankruptcy in January 2015 because I completely maxed out all my credit cards and I had no money to pay for them. And I ended up having to ask for help from my family. Nobody knew. And it was very interesting because it was the first time I ever faced my money fears of like, wow, I don't want anybody to tell me you have to go get a job. This isn't really working. I didn't want anybody to tell me your business is not a business. It's not making any money. So I avoided it. I just kept spending on the internet, buying, programs, coaches, you name it. And next thing you know, I'm at rock bottom. And thankfully at the time, my partner said to me, we're going to have nice things again and we're going to figure this out. And I faced my finances and I started making 10 grand a month consistently. It was like 10, 10, 10, 12, 10, 10, 10. Like I never again experienced less than $10,000 a month in terms of income, right? And also my impact, I started building a tribe. This is just January last year, right? The key thing that happened there was that I realized that I was not my bank account. And I didn't realize that up until that point, I wanted so badly to be successful so that I could keep up with the corporate people. Or the people in corporate would be like, oh yeah, she quit for a good reason. Look how well she's doing. So I didn't realize that I had this like comparison game going, not with people in my industry, but with people from my previous life. Mm-hmm. And like, I just wanted them to see me as successful, right? Not as a person that went and pursued her dreams and now was starving. So when I realized that, something shifted for me and I was like, you know what? I don't give a crap what people think of me. I get to go out and help women not do what I did, which is spend every dime, and growing their business and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Joneses never say that. And also help them see that success does not equal, happiness. Because I was not successful and I was not happy. So I was like, I'm going to figure some things out. So anyway, I just started, like I said, okay, God, if I make it, I'm going to help other women avoid the debt hole that I was in. And also I applied every technique that people told me and it didn't work for me. So I got really raw and authentic, and that's when my business started, like really taking off. Fast forward a year, I had a very successful year last year. I did well over 6 figures, and I'm sharing this numbers not to brag, right? But because that, like people, associate something worthy and something good, to those numbers. But so, to prove, that I was successful, I'm like, yeah. But even though I had done really well, I still didn't have any money. So, has it ever happened to you that you get tons of money and then you still don't have it? You're like, where did it go? So,
yeah,
that was me. And so January came around and I had an extraordinary month. I filled the program. I did really well. And then came February, broke up with my ex. And suddenly all doors came like shutting down on me. Like I couldn't get one single client. It was the first month in a long time that I had made less than 5 figures a month. And my outflows were so high that I really needed that level of income. So I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like I'm facing being a single mom now. My relationships are on the outs. My business isn't thriving, even though, I'm successful. Like by the book, I am successful.
Right.
I'm still like in feast and famine. I have no money for this. My gas was about to get disconnected. And I was just like, this is not work. Like, what the hell am I doing wrong? And anyway, I gave myself an ultimatum and I gave the universe an ultimatum. In February, I said, if by May this hasn't worked out, I'm going to do something else because I cannot afford, putting like me and my son at risk like that. Like that was, because now it's different, right? It's not just. And I was so angry and pissed and mad at myself. I was like, and I remember talking to 18 potential clients, like 18 discovery calls, which is like a record number of discovery calls. And only 3 people said yes. Everybody else said no. And of those 3 people, the 3 of them backed out for reasons that are even hard to explain. So something was blocking. Something was like very visibly, tangibly almost blocking the money from arriving in my bank account. And I felt that very strongly. And then I said, you know what? Why am I blocking this? Like, what is it? And I remember booking a hotel and I said, I'm done with this story. I'm a very successful at the core woman. I'm a strong leader. What is it? Why is it that my external is not matching what I think I'm capable of?
Mm-hmm.
I remember booking a hotel and I said, I'm going to check out. I'm going to figure it out. And I told my family, I said, take my son. I got to go. And I went, and on my way to the hotel, I heard a voice that said to me, Marie, you only get what you have the capacity to receive.
Mm.
And that was a card ride that changed my yes. And I thought to myself, I was like, what? Are you kidding? Like, I'm working my butt off here. You're telling me I can't receive it? My bank account is plenty open. You know, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's plenty of room in my bank account, you know? And so I just started thinking, and I was like, I had a series of visions that really completely rocked my world. The first one was that I remember seeing like a visual of the cosmos and like out into like it's almost as if I had like a little window into the universe. And I just remember thinking like, wow, there's nothing humanly possible, nothing we could humanly do to slow down the universe from expanding. And I was like, well, what if that was my life? What if like my life, my bank account, my health, my thoughts, my relationships were expanding and evolving and you know, growing exponentially and infinitely like the universe. And I was like, wow. And I was like, what if my capacity to receive expanded infinitely like the universe, you know? And then I realized that we each have a receiving tank, that we have a receiving capacity. And I asked myself, how big is and I asked you guys, like right now, if you check in with yourselves, if you said, okay, you know, Teresa or Tandy, how big is my capacity to receive right now?
Mm-hmm.
And just come up with any number. You know, the number I register right now is 70.
Mm-hmm.
When I asked myself that question back then, it was 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, I'm at 40. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to receive if I'm only 40% open? Right? And I was like, what? And so I just started saying my capacity to receive expands infinitely like the universe, my capacity to receive, as I was driving to this hotel, right? And then next thing you know, someone had messaged me. It was 30 minutes. I had another vision, and I'll share it with you guys in a little bit. It was like 3 visions, very clear visions. But this whole thing's happening before I go to the hotel. Someone had messaged me saying, hey, send me an invoice for $7,500. I want to pay you $7,500 for your biggest coaching package at the time. And I was like, what? I was like, that was fast. Wow. I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, did it have anything to do with what I thought and what I was saying? Nah, that was too easy. So I called a friend of mine. Because we discount everything. We want to complicate everything, right? Yeah. So I called a friend of mine and I said, you're not going to believe what just happened to me, but I said this and I thought this and this happened. And she's like, I don't care. I'll say it. I'll just say it, right? And within probably 45 minutes to an hour, she had called me and said, Maru, you're not going to believe what happened. I said what you said. And this woman called me saying she wanted to hire me to be her coach out of the blue. So this would have been my friend's first time coaching client ever.
Wow.
I was like, that was weird. Okay, whatever. So then come Monday, and I went to the hotel and I just watched The Voice. I didn't do anything else. I don't know. I just checked out. I didn't I thought I was going to meditate, and I literally just and then come Monday, and I told someone else, and then she also had a massive miracle, massive breakthrough. And it was a woman that had been selling her house for 3 months and had no showings, no nothing. After she said the mantra, or whatever you call this, I don't know what it is, she said she booked 3 showings the same day. So it was like, this is weird. Could there be something here? And I just kept, you know, very, very behind the scenes telling people, because I was afraid. I was afraid that people would judge me for being woo-woo. And also up until that point, I was a business coach, very business oriented, marketing, messaging, you know, sales, clients. And this was very the side of woo-woo and spiritual prosperity. So it took me about 4 weeks to get out of the closet, you know, after I accumulated enough evidence to know that it wasn't just a fluke, that maybe there was something to it. And I said, you know, I just have to tell people my story, because what happened is within 5 days, I've made $31,000 within 5 days of that Saturday where I had the visions and the mantra. And I was like, wait a minute, I just made more money in a week than most people make in a month, in a year. Yeah. And I made it in 5 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, there has to be something here. And in that same month, I got a client gifted me a week in San Bars. My parents offered to buy me a house. So literally the floodgates opened, like cracked open for me and my son. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I shared this story. I did a video called 7 Ways You're Blocking Money. And don't know if I remember all off the top of my head, right? But I'll definitely want to share this with you guys, because basically we're all, especially as women, we are walking around, blocking our blessings left and right with the way that, with our language, with the way that we stand, with, you know, how we sell ourselves short, how we let other people get their way and we don't say anything, how we don't ask for what we want. Basically, we're just literally walking around, blocking ourselves, you know, and that keeps me up at night. Because I really feel like now I have a stronger calling in the world, which is to help women earn more, not earn more just in income, but also in power and influence. And, you know, I want them to feel bulletproof in terms of who they really are. Like, there's no flaws to you or to me. We are who we are, and we're perfect the way we are. And I want to stand anywhere in the world with anyone and be who I am, be confident, be just who I am, you know. And so I did this video, this webinar, and it went viral. And in 5 days, I've received over 40 testimonials of miracles. People saying, I won a scholarship. My attorney called after I watched your webinar saying that this legal matter was resolved in my favor. Things like that, you know. And I was just like, okay, I was so stressed out because I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what that meant. I really didn't. So I consulted with a psychic and I said, hey, can you help me get an understanding as to what I'm supposed to do next? Because I don't know. Like, is this a program? What is it? Like, I had no idea. I really didn't. And I didn't even have a name for it at the time. Like, I think I knew that it had to do with infinite because of the universe. And I knew it had to do with receiving. And I ended up calling it infinite receiving. So I put up a link on my Facebook group and I said, hey, if you watched the webinar, you like what you heard, I will teach it to you over 4 weeks. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's $123 and I'll do calls every day. And I ended up having 98 people sign up for it. So you do them, right? Most of those 98 people, I would say 75 were paid. The other ones were, you know, friends or family or whatever. So it's just like, holy smokes, is there something here? It's still, you know, but anyway, after the fact, you know, I just finished my 3rd round of infinite receiving, which is where I met Tandy. And I think it's safe to say that your life is different now.
Yeah.
So Tandy, let me ask you this, like, how would you say your life, your abundance, your receiving is different now from 5 months ago when you first started, you know, getting immersed in infinite receiving?
Well, I am cancer-free. That's huge. That's the hugest receiving right there, because having gone through cancer 4 times and this being stage 4, like, and the doctors wanted me to do another round of chemo. And I said no, because I was already in stage 4 kidney failure and I was having all these other complications. And I told my kids, I'm like, I can't. I know that if I do this again, I'm going to die from something other than cancer. And they totally got it because they were seeing it every day. I went to my Reiki and alternative healing and hypnotherapy and all the other energy and healing modalities that I have learned over the years. And I put everything towards that. And it was all about mindset, and it was all about that. And so that's the big one. The second big one was I was in a 2.5-year legal situation, and despite everyone telling me I was going to get denied, the judge was horrible, the judge always denies everything, yada, 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 yada. I walked in and he just approved me like it was magic. It was magic. And I was saying my infinite receiving mantras, and I was like, and I've been a huge proponent of affirmations and intentions and all that kind of stuff anyway. That's why I was, kind of aligned with you and what you were doing. And yeah, and I just was like sending him love and like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then, I was just nailing everything. Like everything was being, so those are two of the biggest examples. Like I could go on and on, but those are two of the biggest.
If you guys watching this, or even Teresa, like if that's not infinitely amazing, I don't know what would be, right? Like just your health diagnosis alone is like, I guess I didn't realize that your story with cancer goes so far back. So it makes me even more, grateful for connecting. And, it's not like, I've always felt like infinite receiving is a frequency, and it's something that comes through me, and that I'm just a steward of the message. So I don't ever take credit or things like that. I always say that all the credit goes to the person that opens themselves up to receive, because many people, when they come across the stuff that I ask them to look into, they put the walls up and they're like, nope, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. Why? Because your subconscious will discount the things that you probably need the most, because if you do receive the message, then that means you would have to challenge old conventions, and you would actually have to change.
Yeah.
And you don't like change, because change requires some work, and requires that you're honest with yourself, requires that you stop lying to yourself. And I gotta tell you, I have tons of resistance in my own life as well. And up until recently, and I keep showing up. I keep having coaching around it. I keep my seat at the table, and that's what's required, right? It's not something like, for some people, they're receiving the blessings are like on the other side of the screen. They just need a few tweaks, and they just pour in like what's happened to you and what's happened to the majority of people that have been through my program. Some people are like, no, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm like, cool, I get it. I totally get it. I've probably been dancing around the stories that I was in love with, like feast and famine. That was a story. It was absolutely a story. I really think that whatever patterns you have in your life that you keep repeating is something that is still serving you. If not, you wouldn't have them. Right?
So Maru, I totally get, you're superwomen. We're all trying to be superwomen, trying to do so much out there, when that's just spinning our wheels, getting back to square one, eventually more exhausted. So when you got this message about increasing your capacity, what can you share, maybe a little bit, some tips or ways that you have learned that you have increased your capacity, or what resistance showed up that you feel like you've overcome or overcoming?
Yeah, so in terms of tips, and I don't think I have my cheat sheet here anymore. I had it the other day, but anyway, some of the things that women do that are blocking the receiving is not taking compliments.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Your shirt and you're like, yeah, my hairdresser's really good, or beautiful outfit. Yeah, I got it at TJ Maxx or something. You know what I mean? Like, we're just so good at deflecting blessings. Or somebody gives you something for free. They're like, let's hop on the phone and let me help you. And they're like, what's in it for her? Like, what does she want to sell me? Or like that kind of stuff. That is a massive. You're jaded. Like, stop it. Because this whole like people having ulterior motives and stuff like that. That's an old program of people aren't inherently good, or they just want to take something from me. So I'm gonna be skeptical, right? Another that's really like people have how many of you have gift cards that you haven't cashed?
Mm-hmm.
That's a silly one, but it's true. Like, you start cashing your gift cards and using them, you start noticing things shifting. Checks, people have this like resistance to cash checks for some reason. I used to have it too. That's another one. Immediately go count your credits or circulate them. Why? Because you want more money in your life. You want more abundance. But what is that? You want more value in your life, right? And yet you have this value, and it's in your drawer, in your kitchen drawer, or in your nightstand or something. You want more value, but the value you have already, you're not valuing it, or you're not using it. So why would the universe give you more if you're not using what you already have?
Right. I have this thing about asking for help. I mean, I know that's something to work on, and I'm much better at it, but I still kind of face that, and I think that's a block, not asking for help.
Huge block, asking for help. And let me ask you this, what is your hang up around asking for help? Do you think you're going to owe them something, or do you feel like it makes you less strong?
No, I don't think it's about owing. I feel like maybe it looks like I can't do something, or I'm not capable, maybe something like that. Smart enough.
Yeah, and that I would say that's definitely one of the things that most women have told me. It's like, here's the thing, it has nothing to do with being capable or not being capable. It has everything to do with, you focusing on your zone of genius. And for me, it's like, if something is not my zone of genius, like if somebody else can do it for me or can help me with it, and that's their expertise, it is a gift for them to let them minister, to let them help you, right? Mm. And also, I honestly really do think that it is ingrained in us, maybe generational, I'm not sure, but in some of us it's ingrained that we have to be martyr, we have to work really hard to get our stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes easy, you question it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe thoughts of not good enough, and I don't know if I mean not good enough. I don't know for sure. Not good enough to have this amount of money or whatever, but not good enough to maybe know how to get there, to do it, something like that. Sometimes I just feel like that kind of creeps in on me a little. I feel like, oh yes, I feel like I can receive. I'm open to receive the abundance, but there's sometimes I'm just feeling I'm not good enough, and I don't really know exactly drill down where that's coming from, but I know it's affecting me in different areas, and certainly I'm sure with abundance and other things I may or may not know right now. So right. Maybe that's something, probably on the list too, right?
Yes. So here's the thing is, I have a theory about this, and that is that we're all infinite receivers, right? That we're all peers in the human experience. Mm-hmm. And that it doesn't matter if you're Oprah or, Steve Jobs or the sweeper down the street. We were all born the exact same canal. We were formed the exact same way. So at a very fundamental level, we're all peers in this human experience. We may be having different experiences of life.
Yeah.
But at the very core, we're just peers. They're my peers. We're just human.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that is one of the core, most fundamental principles of infinite receiving, that we're all infinite receivers, because it doesn't matter where you are or what you've been. It doesn't matter what sins you've committed. It doesn't matter where you've been, what choices you've made, what you've thought, who you've hurt. It doesn't, you don't receive because you're good. You receive because God is good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important, that we get in touch with that is not a competition, that it's not a, Maru is special so she gets all this, or, Tandy is special so she gets that, or Teresa's sister, she gets this experience. No, it's not like that. I think it's our beliefs that are our straitjackets. And, and when you believe that you only deserve this much, then you're going to get this much. I promise you that what you're getting is exactly what you think you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And two of the areas that I, up until recently, had experienced was taking on the responsibility for the feelings of others, specifically my kids, and specifically actually one of my daughters. So actually I learned very early on as I was learning this that, wow, I do that. And so that's a big one. And I know a lot of women deal with that, trying to keep peace in the house or trying to, what have you. Another is a big one that I had was up until recently was not claiming all the value that I already have.
Yeah, like
and
to the coaching or.
Yeah, exactly. Like shiny object syndrome. Oh, that looks nice. Oh, that looks nice. And like you were talking about early on in your experience, you were buying all these programs and coaches and all this stuff thinking that that was going to be the silver bullet. And I've been guilty of that too. And so
we all have,
yeah.
I don't think it's that, that I'm better or whatever. I think we all have, and I think we have those experiences and we learn from them, so. And I mean, I would not take any of it back, even when I was a massive rock bottom. And I was like, you know what, if I can help one woman trust themselves and not get into the same rabbit hole, because I was just in massive shiny object syndrome. I'm like, oh, that woman, she worked with Marie Forleo. She's God. Like, I got to work with her, And so since then, I only align myself with people that I feel like we're deeply connected, that like we're aligned and that we're compatible. It's kind of like a relationship. In the past, when I got into that great deal of debt, I think I was choosing people that were making the money and I wanted to make that much money. Mm. And so that wasn't really getting me anywhere.
Yeah.
Because we were not compatible, because strategy is not what I needed.
Right.
So I think you've got to be really careful, those people listening, if you're investing or if you're looking to invest or whatever programs you have, like you've got to equally 80% invest in where your mindset and your self-identity, because you're not going to have more success than your self-identity. You're not going to grow a successful business without investing in yourself, because your business is an extension of your business. Your business is an extension of yourself. Mm-hmm. You really want to, you really got to work on yourself. And I realized that by facing these moments of rock bottom and by every time, understanding, well, how did I get here and what do I need to do to move forward, and being very persistent and not giving up, that was me working on myself, and also just, living my life as my message. If you encounter a speed bump or, things really go south, do you just give up or do you keep trying, right? Mm-hmm. So the whole topic has been, life-changing for me and for so many, as you can tell. And if there's one thing that I could share in terms of trying to think of I've already shared the bit about claiming value, your gift cards, checks, taking compliments, not taking on the feelings of others, letting them have their own experience, right? Stop trying to rescue them and save them, because that's codependency. You're making them codependent, and you're also, another big thing that blocks receiving is guilt. Anything we do with guilt, we end up getting blamed for. So I've literally entered this rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, almost everything I was doing blocks receiving. What? No wonder, right? And so it's not, it's not like I'm perfect or anything at it, but I'm much more self-aware, and I can feel it in my body when I shrink, when I go from expansive to like this, and I'll be an eternal student, always be working on ways to continue to expand my capacity to receive, and whether it's love or health or money, I'm happy to be that humble person that says, I'm still, expanding my learnings about this and my lessons and my studies, and I'll keep learning it so that I can keep teaching it.
So what would you say are the top maybe 3 things that our women goddesses watching this can do today, can start today, that can start to shift that mindset and allow them to manifest the goddess prosperity they deserve?
Yeah, so I would definitely say circulation. So, for example, spending money or decluttering and giving away without attachment, because anything you try to hold on really hard to, you're not going to get more of what you hoard, is my quote. And circulation signals the universe that you trust, that that you're getting something back, and also it's just putting massive amounts of value out there, which what you put out there is what you get back, right? So I would definitely say circulation. Spend or recycle, get rid of stuff. That's probably step 2, declutter. Like just open up a room to receive. So like this morning, I went through a massive closet decluttering because I'm going into a big project starting tomorrow. And so that is part of my preparation. And then I went outside and I just looked up the sky and how high it is. And I'm like, wow, the possibilities are infinite. And just really, getting in touch with the openness of nature and equaling it to my receiving capacity, seeing my chest expand. But that decluttering bit, very important. If not physical, honestly, if what patterns or what habits are not serving you, like what can you do? And if you're not going to heal them overnight, you may, but then at least get honest with yourself, right? What's another thing that I highly encourage women to do? Ask for compliments. Honestly, like put on your Facebook or call your best friend or text them. Just ask them, what do you appreciate the most about me? What do you appreciate about me? Just do that. That one simple exercise will open you exponentially. Here's why, because, I don't have a problem doing that, but apparently a lot of people do. Every time I ask my clients to do that, or I've asked it in a challenge, they pee in their pants about it. And they freak out, and then they always come back to me crying like, oh, look at all the stuff that people said about me. And next thing you know, they're nominated for an award. Next thing you know, they get a client. Next thing you know that. Why? Because you're not waiting for somebody to open you up to receive. You are opening yourself up to receive. And you're not doing something outrageous, right? You're not fishing for compliments. That's a very, very common thing that I hear. So I'm fishing for compliments, You're like, and what? Like, if you don't feel like you're getting them or people aren't giving them to you, it's okay to ask for them. And it's not a compliment. You're taking care of your tank, and you're casting the net out wide to see what comes back. And it's amazing. People not typically take the initiative, right? To say, oh, I love you, Teresa. I really appreciate this about you. Oh, Tandy, I really appreciate it about you. But when you give them that opening, they pour into you like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely say the whole asking for help, it's okay to outsource. I'm the queen of outsourcing, and it just gives me so much space for me to stay in my zone of genius. And, lastly, I would say you are the same as Oprah. I have been around those people, and they have the same issues we have. They have some of the same concerns. They have, they're just living it at a different level, right? Their issues are different. So ones that I've witnessed this, that they have like people that are thought leaders or people that have plenty of money, or their spouse is an alcoholic, or their kids disrespect them. So yeah, they may be flashy, they may have the New York Times selling stuff, but in behind the scenes they have their own issues. So I think not putting people on pedestals is something that has allowed me to connect with them and really energetically open myself up to having friendships with people that I used to admire and see on TV. And because I saw them as my equals, now they see me as their equals.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking like Lisa Nichols, and other really fun people like that. So don't see yourself as someone who's not as special. You are, you're a peer in the human experience, and let that sit in for a while, because it takes a while for your mind to catch up to this concepts and these theories. But if you just sit with them, keep your seat at the table and keep listening, that's why I recommend influencing to everybody, because you get soaked in and they penetrate, it's like they start seeping in the back of your head, and you need that to get a whole new mind and a brainwash.
Yeah. Well, those are really good ideas. And I agree. It does take a little bit. So maybe even the one you said about asking for compliments. So if that's something that's uncomfortable for any of the ladies listening, buddy up with a girlfriend. I know there was, in a while ago, years ago, I used to do that with girlfriends. We would do like a gratitude email or even what you said, like what's good about me. And we would just share that, on a daily basis through a group. So if you're uncomfortable asking at first for that, do it with a buddy, right? Because it kind of takes a little bit to practice ourselves until once we get into the groove, then it gets really, really fun, right? But maybe at first it feels kind of weird, but awesome ideas.
Definitely.
And decluttering, Maria, I'm so glad you brought that up because we are having a decluttering class. Maybe it's the last one. We have a feng shui expert, and it really is about decluttering. I mean, in so many areas of your life, money, relationships, anything, cluttering, allowing that good energy into your life definitely increases abundance in a lot of things. So I really appreciate you saying that because I do feel like that's an important one too. Those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing those.
Yeah, I think we're coming to the end, right? Before we wrap up, I want to share a video that I had in that same car ride, and it taught me that we're all so much more scared of our dreams that we think. And in that third vision I had in the car, I saw Oprah and Taylor Swift. So it's like the cosmos and my capacity to receive, and then Taylor Swift and Oprah, right? And I saw them like at a stadium, right? And they like the stadium was completely packed. It was separate. It was like each one of them was separate. And I also noticed that they had tons of paparazzi, and I just kind of got a glimpse into their lives. And my reaction was hyperventilation. Like as soon as I got that vision, I was like I literally started feeling tired in my heart because I was like, wait a minute. I've often said, you know, I want to be like Latina Oprah or something like that. And as soon as I got a glimpse of her life, I started hyperventilating. That was very telling. You know, that really taught me a lot about the ways that we're actively blocking ourselves. Because you may want abundance, you may want to win the lottery. But you know what happens to people that win the lottery or that get a lot of success really fast? They crash. They crash. I call it the Lindsay Lohan syndrome. You know? Because it's like you get so much fame, so much success all of a sudden that you don't know how to handle it. If you don't have a good support system or the mindset to keep up with it, you're going to get rid of it or you're going to sabotage it. So when I saw a sneak peek into like that Oprah world and Taylor Swift, I was like, how big must their capacity to receive be in order to have those levels of success? And I was just like, it blew my mind. And it also freaked me out because I was like, wow, you really have to be really open because, you know, I get a lot of notifications every day on my social media and it's just me at the time, you know. And I was like, this woman get millions of notifications and pings and emails every day. And people have their pictures on their poster boards in their rooms. And like at that time, I had my vision board in my bathroom. And I was like, that is so disgusting. That's so creepy that people would cut pictures out of you. Put them in their bathroom or in their room. And I was just like, ew, like that just feels creepy to me that people would be cutting your picture out and putting it in their room and in your bathroom. And I was just like, wow, here's something I'm saying I want. But here's the unintended consequences of everything that comes with that. And ever since then, it's been very easy for me to understand how I was probably never going to get there, you know, having this unconscious fears about that. And every time I work with clients or groups or courses, I ask them, what's your wildest dreams? What are the negative consequences of you getting that, or what freaks you out about that? If it all came true, right, what would happen? And those unconscious fears are the fears that are going to keep your dream away from you forever. So in order to receive the dream, you have to make it safe for your ego, which is, you know, a lot more of the technicalities of it for receiving, but you got to make it safe for your ego to open the door and say, okay, I allow this level of success, or I allow this exposure, or I allow this visibility, because if not, the ego is going to be like, no, not safe, not safe, not safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was a really great description. A great description of how big must Oprah's capacity to receive be. That kind of like, I think, brought it all together when you were talking about the capacity to receive. When you said that, I kind of like felt something different. Like, wow, it must be darn huge, right?
But you know what? Also is that her capacity to give is tremendous as well.
Yes. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
So that was a turning point right there, because now I often say, you know, I'm okay having paparazzi. it's okay if, my picture's on the cover of magazines and people cut it out. I'm okay paying a bunch of people's full-time salaries. It is safe for me to pay a bunch of people's full-time salaries. It is safe for me to expand at this level and earn at this level. It is safe for me. You know what I mean? Like, because, and every time I say stuff like that, people freak out. They're like, I don't want to pay people's full-time salary. And I'm like, well, I get it. But didn't you want a successful company? So do you see the contradiction? So it's like on the surface, we're like, yes, I want this, but deep down, you have all this resistance to getting that. And because it's not safe for you to become Oprah, for you to get what you want. So I'm okay with all that now. Like, I'm okay. And I keep being okay, and I find sneaky thoughts and sneaky feared stuff. And I'm like, oh, cool, nice. I witness it. I don't judge myself for it. And I keep transmuting it.
Grab the popcorn.
Grab the popcorn, which is something that we say in for receiving, because one of the things is if you beat yourself up all the time over everything, you're not going to receive, because you're constantly criticizing, judging yourself. And that forms this, walls around your heart. And it's just not a good place for receiving.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Yes.
That's a beautiful place to end. Thank you so much, Maru, for being with us, for sharing this sacred time and space, and really for impacting the incredible lives that you impact. And with this Goddess Retreat sanctuary we have created and the incredible ahas that have happened just in the last 40 minutes is tremendous. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope many people watching, and I hope they walk away excited to make this, tweaks and watch their capacity to receive and their abundance explode.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Yes. And for all of our goddesses watching, we are excited for tomorrow, day 4, where we will be developing our intuition and such through art. So that will be very, very cool. Really a lot more self-expression and really connecting to our divine feminine. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. Thank you, Maru. I've certainly enjoyed it, and certainly our listeners have enjoyed it. Made lots of notes to take away. That's really great. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for watching this. And definitely self-empowerment through intuition is day 4. And you'll get an email about some of the things to prepare for that as well. It's been an awesome time together. Abundance to all, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See ya.
Bye.